The large viewing screen showed a small dot against the black of space. It was so small that anyone might miss it if they weren't looking for it. But Commander Tai was looking for it. He had been waiting for this moment for weeks. "Magnify," he ordered, his voice calm despite the tension in the room. The dot grew larger on the screen. It was a ship, just one ship, white and sleek with blue markings along its hull. The vessel looked almost delicate compared to the heavy warships of the Galactic Concord fleet. Commander Ta stood on the bridge of the Asterisk, unwavering Justice Asterisk, the flagship of the Concord Defense Fleet. Around him, officers from 7 different species worked at their stations. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few had extra limbs. But all of them wore the same gray uniform with the Concord emblem, a circle of 17 stars representing the 17 member species of the Alliance. "Status report," Ta said, his eyes never leaving the screen. Officer Subin, his chief intelligence advisor, stepped forward. She was shorter than Ta, with short black hair and alert eyes that missed nothing. "The human vessel maintains its approach vector, Commander. Speed constant. No weapons signatures detected. They continue to broadcast the same message on open channels." Ta nodded. "Play it again." The message filled the bridge, a human voice, clear and measured. "This is Captain Jeho Kim of the Earth vessel Asterisk, Dauntless Asterisk. We come in peace, seeking diplomatic relations with the Galactic Concord. Please respond. How long until they reach our perimeter?" Tai asked. 4 hours at current speed," answered the navigation officer. Tai turned to face the full bridge crew. "I want constant monitoring. If that ship so much as changes course by 1 degree, I want to know immediately." "Yes, Commander," they responded in unison. Tai left the bridge with Subin following close behind. They walked through the gleaming corridors of the flagship until they reached the secure conference room, where the rest of the command staff waited. Admiral Han, the oldest officer present, spoke first when they entered. "So it's true. The humans have arrived." "Yes, Admiral. Just as our deep space probes predicted," Ta confirmed. "Just one ship." Admiral Han's bushy eyebrows rose in surprise. "Our intelligence suggested they would send a diplomatic fleet." Subin activated the room's display, showing the approaching human vessel. "That's what confuses us, Admiral. According to our observations of their communications, they have the capability to send more ships, yet they chose to send only one." Admiral Han stroked his gray beard thoughtfully. "Perhaps it's a trap." General Du, the head of military operations, scoffed. "A trap? One ship against our armada. We have 500 warships positioned throughout this system. Never underestimate an unknown species, General," cautioned Science Director Mina. She was the youngest at the table but one of the most respected xenoanthropologists in the Concord. "The humans have only recently achieved faster than light travel, but their technological development has been unusual." "Unusual how?" Tai asked. Mina adjusted her glasses. "Most species follow a predictable path of technological advancement. The humans seem to make great leaps forward in some areas while remaining oddly behind in others. Their weapons technology, for instance, developed along very different lines than ours." General Du leaned forward. "Are they a threat?" "Unknown," Mina admitted, "but their history shows both great capacity for violence and for cooperation. They fought 3 world wars on their home planet before unifying." Tai turned back to the display showing the approaching ship. "So the question remains, why just one ship?" He looked around the table. "Opinions. Resource limitations," suggested General Du. "Perhaps they can't spare more ships." "A cultural gesture," offered Science Director Mina. "Perhaps this is their way of showing peaceful intentions." "A test," said Subin quietly. When everyone turned to look at her, she continued, "They're testing our response. If we destroy one ship, it's a small loss to them. If we welcome it, they learn about our diplomatic procedures." Admiral Han nodded slowly. "All plausible theories. But we need certainty." He turned to Ta. Commander, your recommendation. Todd didn't hesitate. We proceed with the diplomatic welcome as planned, but with all security measures at maximum. If this is truly a peaceful mission, we show the humans that the Concord values diplomatic relations. If it's something else, his voice hardened, we show them the full might of the Concord Defense Fleet. Agreed, said Admiral Han. Make the preparations. 4 hours later, Captain Jae-ho Kim of the Earth vessel Dauntless received permission to dock at Concord Station Alpha, a massive space station orbiting the neutral world of Harmony. As the Dauntless approached, Kim stood on his own bridge, watching the Concord fleet through the view screen. That's quite a welcome party, observed his second-in-command, Lieutenant Yuna. Kim nodded. The Concord had positioned dozens of warships in visible range of their approach vector, a show of force disguised as an honor guard. They're scared, Kim said simply. Of us? Yuna sounded surprised. We're just one ship. Exactly. Kim smiled slightly. And that confuses them. The Dauntless was guided to a docking bay large enough to hold a vessel 5 times its size. As the ship settled into place, Kim addressed his crew of 30. Remember your briefings. The Concord is an alliance of 17 species, each with their own customs and taboos. Be respectful but not subservient. We represent all of humanity in this first official contact. Kim straightened his dark blue uniform and checked his appearance one last time. No weapons were visible, though he carried a small emergency communicator in his pocket, standard protocol for first contact missions. Ready, sir, Yuna confirmed, standing beside him with 4 other officers chosen for the initial meeting. Then let's make history, Kim said, leading them toward the airlock. Commander Todd waited at the docking bay with a small delegation. Security officers stood at discreet positions throughout the area, weapons not visible but ready. Subin stood at Todd's right hand, while Science Director Minna was on his left. Remember, Minna whispered, humans place great importance on physical greetings. They may extend a hand for you to grasp. It's called a handshake. I've read the briefing, Todd murmured back. The airlock doors slid open, and the human delegation stepped through. Ta had seen images of humans before, but seeing them in person was different. They stood upright on 2 legs, with 2 arms, similar to several Concord species. Their skin tones varied from light to dark brown. They had hair on their heads, but not much visible elsewhere. Their eyes faced forward like predators. The lead human stepped forward. He was of average height for his species, with short black hair and confident eyes. His uniform was simple but elegant, with insignia that must denote his rank. Captain Jae-ho Kim of Earth, he introduced himself in perfect standard, the common language of the Concord. Thank you for your welcome. Ta stepped forward and extended his hand as the briefing had suggested. Commander Ta of the Galactic Concord, on behalf of the 17 worlds, I welcome you to Harmony. Kim's grip was firm but not aggressive as they shook hands. His smile seemed genuine, but there was something in his eyes that Tai couldn't quite read. These are my officers. Kim indicated the humans behind him, introducing each by name and position. Tai did the same with his delegation. The formal introductions complete, he said. We have prepared quarters for your delegation and will conduct official discussions tomorrow after you've had time to rest. Thank you, Commander, but if it's all the same to you, I'd prefer to begin preliminary talks today, Kim replied. My crew can handle the rest. Tai was surprised but careful not to show it. As you wish, Captain. As they walked through the station toward the conference rooms, Tai observed the human captain. Kim walked with ease despite the slightly higher gravity of the station. He showed polite interest in their surroundings, but didn't gawk like most species experiencing Concord technology for the first time. Your station is impressive, Kim commented. How many people live here? Approximately 40,000 personnel from all Concord worlds, Tai answered. This is one of our smaller diplomatic stations. Smaller, Kim raised an eyebrow. Interesting. They passed through a large atrium where members of various Concord species went about their business. Many stopped to stare at the humans, the first most had ever seen in person. Your people seem curious about us, Kim noted. You are the first humans most have encountered, Tai explained. We've been observing your world for some time, but official contact was only approved recently. You've been watching us. Kim's tone remained casual, but Ta noticed a slight tension in his posture. Standard procedure for all potential contact species, Tai assured him. We maintain observation posts near developing worlds to determine when they're ready for first contact. And what made you decide we were ready? Kim asked. Tai considered his answer carefully. Your achievement of faster-than-light travel was the primary factor, but also your planet's moves toward unification and the reduction in armed conflicts. Kim nodded. We still have our problems, but we're working on them. They arrived at the conference room. Inside, Admiral Han, General Du, and several other high-ranking Concord officials waited. Kim showed no surprise at the size of the delegation waiting for him. After introductions, they all took seats around a large oval table. Kim sat alone on one side, facing the entire Concord delegation. He appeared completely at ease despite being outnumbered. Admiral Han spoke first. Captain Kim, we welcome Earth to the galactic community. Your arrival marks a historic moment for both our peoples. Thank you, Admiral. Earth is honored to establish relations with the Galactic Concord. If I may ask, General Du interjected, why did your government send just one ship for such an important mission? Several Concord officials frowned at the bluntness of the question, but Kim didn't seem offended. The Dauntless was designed specifically for first contact missions, he explained. Sending a single vessel demonstrates peaceful intentions and minimizes the risk of misunderstandings. But surely your safety was a concern, General Du pressed. You ventured into unknown territory with minimal protection. Kim's smile was enigmatic. The Dauntless is quite capable of protecting itself if necessary, General. But our mission is diplomatic, not military. Science Director Minna changed the subject. Captain, we're curious about Earth culture. Would you be willing to share information about your people's customs and beliefs? Of course, Kim agreed. Cultural exchange is one of our primary objectives. Though I should note that Earth doesn't have a single unified culture. We have hundreds of distinct cultural groups, though we're more integrated now than in the past. The conversation shifted to safer topics: Earth history, art, science, and social structures. Kim answered all questions openly, occasionally consulting a small device on his wrist when specific data was requested. 3 hours later, Admiral Han called for a recess. Captain Kim, you must be tired after your journey. We've prepared accommodations for you and your crew. Thank you, Admiral. A short rest would be welcome. As the meeting broke up, Tai approached Kim. I'll escort you to your quarters, Captain. As they walked, Tai decided on a more direct approach. Captain, forgive my bluntness, but there's considerable curiosity about your ship. The Dauntless. Kim looked amused. What would you like to know? Its capabilities, primarily. Our scans detected unusual energy signatures. Kim nodded. Yes, our propulsion system uses principles that may be unfamiliar to your scientists. We'd be happy to provide basic technical information as part of our knowledge exchange. And its defensive capabilities, Tai asked casually. Standard for a vessel of its class, Kim replied, equally casual. Enough to deal with meteors, radiation, and similar hazards of space travel. Ta didn't believe him for a second, but he nodded politely. Of course. They reached the guest quarters, a spacious suite adapted for human physiology, based on their observation data. These will be your personal quarters during your stay, Tai explained. Your crew has been assigned adjacent rooms. The environmental controls have been set to Earth standard, but you can adjust them as needed. Kim inspected the room briefly. This is more than adequate, Commander. Thank you for your hospitality. There will be a formal reception this evening, if you feel rested enough to attend. I wouldn't miss it, Kim assured him. Tai hesitated, then asked the question that had been bothering him since the humans' arrival. Captain, may I ask you something unofficially? Just between us. Kim looked intrigued. Certainly. Why did Earth really send just one ship? Even for a peaceful mission, it seems unusual. For a moment, Kim's diplomatic mask slipped, and Ta caught a glimpse of something unexpected. Amusement, perhaps even mischief. Commander Te, sometimes the simplest answer is the correct one. We sent one ship because one ship was sufficient. With that cryptic statement, Kim politely indicated that he would like to rest before the evening's events, and Ta had no choice but to leave. Well, Admiral Han asked when Te returned to the secure conference room, where the senior staff had reassembled. He's hiding something, Ta said without preamble. The ship, their technology, their real intentions. There's more here than a simple diplomatic mission. Did you get any concrete information? General Du demanded. Nothing specific, Te admitted. He's well trained, reveals exactly what he intends to reveal and nothing more. Science Director Minna looked thoughtful. I've been analyzing his responses during our meeting. He's clearly authorized to share basic cultural and historical information, but notice how he deflected questions about their current military structure and government details. Standard diplomatic caution, Subin suggested. Perhaps, Minna conceded. But there's something else. She paused, looking troubled. When we discussed their technological development, did anyone else notice his reaction when we mentioned our observation posts? Admiral Han nodded slowly. He was surprised, and not pleasantly. They didn't know we were watching them, Te realized. Which means our observation posts weren't as undetectable as we thought. General Du finished grimly. A heavy silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. If the humans had detected Concord observation posts but never acknowledged or confronted them, what else might they be concealing? I want a full analysis of the dauntless asterisk, Admiral Han ordered. Every scan, every reading. If that ship has hidden capabilities, I want to know before the formal discussions begin tomorrow. Yes, Admiral, the staff responded in unison. As they dispersed to their tasks, Ta found himself returning to the question that continued to puzzle them. Just one ship. Why? What were the humans really saying with this approach? The reception that evening would provide another opportunity to study Captain Kim and his crew. Perhaps there, in a more relaxed setting, the humans might reveal more than they intended. But somehow, looking at the confidence in Kim's eyes, Tai doubted it would be that easy. The reception hall glowed with soft blue light. Tables filled with food from 17 worlds lined the walls. Music played softly in the background, a careful mix of sounds pleasant to all Concord species. Commander Ta stood near the entrance, watching as guests arrived. The hall was already crowded with high-ranking officials and diplomats, all curious about the humans. Commander, Subin appeared at his side. The human delegation is approaching. Ta nodded. And our security measures? In place, she confirmed. Passive scanners are active. Guards are positioned at all exits. We're recording everything. Good. Captain Kim entered the hall with 5 of his officers. They wore formal versions of their blue uniforms, simple but elegant. Kim scanned the room quickly, noting exits and the positions of security personnel. It was a subtle movement, but Tai caught it. A soldier's habit, not a diplomat's. Captain Kim, Ta greeted him. Welcome to the reception. Kim smiled. Thank you, Commander. May I introduce my officers? He gestured to the woman beside him. This is Lieutenant Yuna, my second in command. And these are Officers Park, Min, Jun, and Hana. Each officer bowed slightly when introduced. Tai introduced several key Concord officials who had gathered around them, curious about the newcomers. Please enjoy our hospitality, Ta said. We've prepared food that should be compatible with human biology. That's very thoughtful, Kim replied. The human officers spread out, mingling with the Concord officials. Ta noticed how they positioned themselves, each taking a different section of the room. Coincidence or strategy? Admiral Han approached Ta. What do you think of them? He asked quietly. They're well-trained, Ta answered. Observant, careful about what they say. Military. Yes, though they present themselves as diplomatic personnel. Han's eyes narrowed. Keep watching them. I don't want any surprises. Across the room, Science Director Minna had engaged Captain Kim in conversation. Todd moved closer, appearing to be getting a drink while actually listening to their discussion. Your achievements in quantum physics are particularly impressive, Minna was saying, especially considering how recently you developed the technology. Kim smiled modestly. We had some unique challenges that pushed our research in unexpected directions, such as resource limitations, mainly. Earth went through a difficult period about 100 years ago. Climate change, resource wars, population pressures. We had to develop more efficient technologies simply to survive. Fascinating, Minna said. That might explain the unusual development path we observed. Your energy technology leapfrogged several stages we considered necessary. Kim's expression changed slightly. How closely were you observing us, Director? Minna hesitated. Standard protocols for pre-contact species. I see. Kim's tone remained friendly, but there was an edge to it now. And these protocols include monitoring our communications, our defense systems, our scientific development, for peaceful purposes only, Minna assured him, to determine when contact would be appropriate. Of course. Kim sipped his drink, just as our own observations were for peaceful purposes. Minna nearly dropped her glass. Your observations. Kim smiled. Did you think your observation posts were undetected, Director? We've known about them for decades. Tai, still pretending to be focused on selecting food, felt a chill run down his spine. The implications were enormous. If the humans had detected and identified Concord observation posts, but left them untouched, why didn't you remove them? Minna asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Kim shrugged. Why would we? They weren't harming anyone, and they provided valuable information about your technology and capabilities. He smiled again. We learn by watching too, Director. Before Minna could respond, the room's lights flickered. A moment later, an alarm sounded. 3 short pulses, then silence. Tai was at Kim's side instantly. Captain, please excuse the interruption. A minor station issue. Nothing to be concerned about. Kim nodded, but Tai saw that his officers had all tensed, hands moving subtly to hidden pockets or sleeves. Ta's communicator buzzed. Commander, Subin's voice came through clearly. We need you in the security center immediately. Excuse me, Ta said to Kim. I must attend to this. Kim nodded. Of course. As Tai left the reception, he noticed that Captain Kim had made eye contact with each of his officers. A silent message passed between them. In the security center, screens showed different sections of the station. Officers worked frantically at their stations. Report, Tai ordered as he entered. General Du turned from the main screen. Long-range sensors detected an energy spike at the edge of the system. 3 ships just dropped out of FTL. Identification. Cheery vessels, Subin said, her voice tight. Warships. Tai felt his stomach drop. The Cheery Empire was the Concord's oldest rival. An uneasy peace had existed between them for 50 years, but tensions remained high. Have they made contact? Tai asked. No, General Du replied. They're maintaining position just outside our defensive perimeter. Alert status. Yellow. We haven't mobilized the fleet yet. Don't want to provoke them. Ta nodded. Good. Keep monitoring them. Inform me of any changes. He turned to leave. Commander, Subin called after him. What about the humans? Todd paused. What about them? Could their arrival and the Cheery appearance be connected? It was a disturbing thought. Double the security on the human delegation and their ship, discreetly. Yes, Commander. Tai returned to the reception, his mind racing. The timing was too convenient to be coincidence. Had the humans somehow attracted the Churi's attention? Or worse, were they working together? When he entered the hall, he found Captain Kim speaking with Admiral Han. Both looked serious. Ah, Commander Tai, Han said. Captain Kim was just asking about the alarm. A minor technical issue, Tai lied smoothly. Nothing to be concerned about. Kim's eyes met his. Are you sure, Commander? In my experience, 3 short pulses usually indicate an external alert. Tai kept his face neutral, but internally he was shocked. How did Kim know the Concord alert system? You're well informed, Captain, Ta said carefully. We make it our business to learn local protocols when visiting new places, Kim replied. It's a safety measure. Admiral Han cleared his throat. Commander, I believe we should brief Captain Kim on the situation. As our guest, he deserves to know if there might be complications. Ta hesitated, then nodded. You're right, Admiral. Captain, if you would come with us. A private briefing room would be more appropriate. Kim turned to Lieutenant Yuna, who had appeared at his side. Continue as planned. I'll join you shortly. She nodded once and returned to the other human officers. In the briefing room, Tai activated the security protocols before speaking. Captain, you're correct. The alert indicates external contact. 3 Churi warships have entered the system. Kim's expression didn't change. I see. And the Churi are a rival power, Admiral Han explained. We've had disagreements in the past. Wars, Ta corrected bluntly. 3 of them over the past 2 centuries. We've maintained an uneasy peace for 50 years, but tensions remain high. Kim nodded slowly. And their appearance now, just as we arrive for first contact. The timing is suspicious, Tai admitted. They may be curious about your species, or testing how we respond to a new potential ally, Han added. I understand, Kim said. Do you anticipate hostilities? Tai exchanged glances with Han. It's possible, but unlikely. The Churi rarely attack without provocation. Even so, Kim said, I should return to my ship, for safety reasons. That won't be necessary, Tai assured him. The station is well protected. With respect, Commander, my first responsibility is to my ship and crew. If there's even a small chance of danger, I need to be there. Han nodded. A captain's duty. I understand. Commander Ta will arrange an escort back to your vessel. Thank you, Admiral. As they left the briefing room, Ta sent a message to Subin. Prepare security escort for human captain returning to his ship. Monitor closely. 2 hours later, the situation changed dramatically. The 3 Churi ships suddenly accelerated toward the station. They're powering weapons, shouted the sensor officer. Red alert, Tai ordered. All ships to defensive positions, station shields at maximum. The first Churi shots hit the outer shields. The station shuddered. Damage report, Ta demanded. Outer shields at 80%, reported an officer. No hull breach. The fleet is responding, General Du announced. Intercept in 3 minutes. Another blast rocked the station. Outer shields at 60%. Get me a channel to the Churi vessels, Tai ordered. No response on any frequency, Commander. Tai turned to Subin, the human ship. Still docked in the eastern section, she replied. That area is holding, but shields are weakening there. Evacuate that section immediately, Tai ordered, and get Captain Kim on the comm. Moments later, Kim's face appeared on the screen. He looked calm despite the chaos visible behind him. Captain Kim, we're under attack by Churi forces, Tai explained quickly. Your ship is in a vulnerable position. We're evacuating that section now. Understood, Commander. We'll depart immediately. No, Ta said. The attack is concentrated in your area. Remain docked. We'll move defense ships to your position. Kim seemed to consider this. With respect, Commander, the Dauntless can protect itself. We'd prefer to undock. Captain, I strongly advise against. The station rocked with another hit, more powerful than before. Eastern shield failing. Someone shouted. Docking Bay 7 is exposed. Tai felt his heart sink. Docking Bay 7, where the human ship was located. Captain Kim, your position is compromised. Evacuate your crew to the inner station immediately. On the screen, Kim seemed oddly composed. That won't be necessary, Commander. Stand by. The screen went dark. Get him back, Tide ordered. I can't, sir. They've cut communications. Show me the docking bay. The main screen switched to an external view of Docking Bay 7. The massive doors had been damaged by cheery fire, hanging open to space. The Dauntless was visible inside, still attached to its docking clamps. As they watched, the clamps released. The human ship drifted free. They're committing suicide, General Du muttered. The cheery will destroy them in seconds. But the Dauntless didn't flee toward the protection of the Concord fleet. Instead, it moved directly toward the attacking cheery vessels. What are they doing? Admiral Han demanded. Unknown, sir, Subin replied. But they're accelerating rapidly. On the screen, the Dauntless seemed to shimmer slightly. Its sleek white hull began to change, sections sliding and shifting position. What had appeared to be decorative elements reconfigured, revealing what were clearly weapon ports. Magnify, Tide ordered, not believing his eyes. The image zoomed in. The Dauntless had transformed. What had looked like a small diplomatic vessel now bristled with advanced weaponry. Its engines glowed with an intensity that their sensors struggled to measure. It's a warship, Subin whispered. It was a warship all along. The lead cheery vessel fired on the Dauntless. The human ship didn't evade. Instead, it absorbed the blast with barely visible shields that flashed blue momentarily before fading. Then the Dauntless returned fire. A single pulse of energy, bright white with a blue core, shot from the human ship. It struck the lead cheery vessel amidships. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the cheery ship's lights flickered and died. It drifted, powerless. The other two cheery ships turned their full attention to the Dauntless, unleashing a barrage of weapons fire. The human vessel moved with impossible speed, evading most shots. Those that connected seemed to do minimal damage. Their maneuverability is incredible, General Du said, professional admiration in his voice despite the circumstances. The Dauntless fired again. 2 precise shots. Each hit its target. Like the first ship, the 2 remaining cheery vessels went dark, drifting helplessly. They've disabled them, Subin said in amazement. Not destroyed, disabled. The room fell silent as they watched the Dauntless take position between the helpless cheery ships and the station. A message came through on all frequencies. This is Captain Jae-ho Kim of the Earth vessel Dauntless. Cheery vessels, your unprovoked attack has been neutralized. Your ships are disabled but intact. Your life support systems remain functional. Concord Station, we stand ready to assist with any emergency measures. Please advise. Tai exchanged shocked glances with Admiral Han before responding. Captain Kim, this is Commander Ta. Your assistance is appreciated. The Concord fleet will secure the cheery vessels. Please return to Docking Bay 10. It's undamaged. Understood, Commander. Dauntless returning. As the human ship turned back toward the station, its weapon systems reconfigured, once again appearing as harmless decorative elements. By the time it reached Docking Bay 10, it looked exactly as it had before, a sleek diplomatic vessel with no visible weapons. I want answers, Admiral Han said, his voice tight with controlled anger. Now, Captain Kim sat alone at the conference table. Across from him were Commander Tai, Admiral Han, General Du, and Science Director Muna. Security officers stood at each corner of the room. "Explain yourself, Captain," Admiral Han demanded without preamble. Kim folded his hands on the table. "What would you like me to explain, Admiral?" "Your ship," Ta said. "Its capabilities. The weapons. All of it." Kim nodded slowly. "The Dauntless is a scout-class vessel with defensive capabilities. We came in peace, but we're not foolish. The universe can be dangerous." "Scout class," General Du scoffed. "That ship disabled 3 Churi warships in less than 2 minutes. Ships that would have given our own fleet a serious challenge." "Different technological paths, General," Kim said calmly. "As I believe Science Director Minna noted earlier, Earth's development followed unusual patterns." "You deliberately concealed your ship's true nature," Tai accused. "Did we?" Kim raised an eyebrow. "We never claimed the Dauntless was unarmed. You assumed it was, based on its appearance." "A deception by omission," Han growled. "A diplomatic courtesy," Kim countered. "We didn't come to intimidate but to establish peaceful relations. Would you have preferred we arrive with weapons visible? Would that have set the right tone for first contact?" Ta had to admit the human had a point. "Even so, Captain, your ship's capabilities far exceed what would be expected of a diplomatic vessel." "By your standards, perhaps," Kim agreed, "but not by ours. The Dauntless is one of our older models, actually. Reliable, versatile, but hardly our most advanced." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. If this was an older model, what were their current ships capable of? "How many vessels does Earth possess?" General Du asked finally. "That's classified information, General," Kim replied smoothly. "But I can tell you we maintain a defense force proportional to our needs." "And your weapons technology?" Han pressed. "What you used against the Chiri?" "A targeted electromagnetic pulse, essentially," Kim explained. "It disables electronic systems without destroying the vessel or harming the crew. We prefer non-lethal options when available." "You could have destroyed those ships," Ta stated. "Yes," Kim admitted. "But why would we? They posed a threat that needed to be neutralized, not exterminated." Minna leaned forward. "Captain, I must ask, why did you really come here? With one ship, knowing it could easily defend itself?" Kim looked at each of them in turn before answering. "Exactly the reason I stated from the beginning. To establish peaceful diplomatic relations. Earth wants friends, not enemies. Trading partners, not conquests." "But the show of force," Han began. "Was not a show at all until forced upon us," Kim interrupted. "We would have happily completed this entire mission without revealing the Dauntless's full capabilities. The Chiri attack made that impossible." Tai studied the human carefully. "One ship," he said softly. "You really did only need one ship." Kim nodded. "Yes, Commander. One was sufficient." The human's confidence suddenly seemed less like arrogance and more like simple fact. They had sent one ship because one ship was all they needed. The realization was both reassuring and terrifying. "What happens now?" Tai asked. "That depends on the Concord," Kim replied. "Our mission remains the same. Establish diplomatic relations, begin cultural and technological exchange, lay the groundwork for peaceful cooperation." Admiral Han exchanged glances with the others before responding. "The Concord Council will need to discuss these developments. Until then, you and your crew will remain on your ship." "Understood," Kim said, rising from his chair. "We'll await your decision." As he left the room, escorted by security officers, Ta couldn't help but wonder what other surprises the humans might have in store. And somewhere in the back of his mind, a question kept repeating. Just one ship. What would 2 human ships be capable of? The Concord Council chamber was filled to capacity. Representatives from all 17 member species sat in curved rows, their voices creating a constant murmur. At the center podium, Admiral Hand addressed the gathering. "The facts are these," he said, his voice carrying clearly through the room. 3 days ago, the human vessel Dauntless arrived for diplomatic talks. Yesterday, 3 Churi warships attacked this station without warning. The human ship defended us, disabling all 3 attackers without destroying them. A Droma representative stood, her scaled skin shimmering under the lights, and we're certain the humans weren't working with the Churi. This could be an elaborate show to gain our trust. "We've interrogated the Churi captain," General Du responded. "He claims they attacked because they detected the human ship and feared we were forming an alliance against them." "So the Churi fear the humans," noted a Vex representative, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Perhaps with good reason, given what their ship can do." Ta watched the debate from his position near the main doors. The council was divided. Some saw the humans as potential allies who had proven their worth by defending the station. Others viewed them as a new threat, possibly more dangerous than the Churi. Science Director Minna approached the podium. "I've analyzed the data from the battle. The human weapon technology is unlike anything in our records. It completely disabled the Churi ships without causing physical damage." "Can we replicate it?" someone asked. "Not with our current understanding," Minna admitted. "Their approach to energy manipulation is fundamentally different from ours." More murmurs filled the room. Subin appeared at Ta's side, speaking quietly. "Captain Kim is requesting permission to address the council." Tai raised an eyebrow. "Bold move. Should I deny the request?" Ta considered for a moment. "No. Let's hear what he has to say." Admiral Han was initially reluctant but eventually agreed. The council members shifted nervously as Captain Kim entered the chamber. He walked to the center podium with calm confidence, bowed slightly to the gathered representatives, and began speaking. "Honorable members of the Concord Council, thank you for allowing me to address you. I understand your concerns. A new species appears, displays unexpected capabilities, and creates uncertainty. I would feel the same in your position." He paused, looking around the room. "But I ask you to consider this from our perspective. Earth sent a single ship on a mission of peace. When attacked, we defended both ourselves and this station. We used minimal force, ensuring no lives were lost. Are these the actions of a hostile power?" The Drona representative stood again. "If you came in peace, why conceal your ship's true nature?" "We didn't conceal it," Kim responded calmly. "We simply didn't advertise it. Would you have preferred we arrive in a vessel bristling with visible weapons? Would that have set the right tone for first contact?" "You should have been honest about your capabilities," the representative insisted. "We were exactly as honest as you were about your observation posts near Earth," Kim countered, "which, I remind the Council, monitored our planet for decades without our consent. That caused uncomfortable shifting among several council members." Kim continued, "Earth doesn't seek conflict. We want trade, cultural exchange, and mutual security. The technology you witnessed is defensive. Yes, it can be used aggressively, but so can any tool. Our intention matters more than our capability." A Tellurian counselor spoke next, his voice deep and resonant. "Captain Kim, what exactly does Earth want from the Concord?" Kim smiled. "The same things all civilizations want: peace, prosperity, and the chance to learn from others. We're still young as a spacefaring species. We have much to learn from your 17 worlds, just as we have things to teach in return." "Such as your weapons technology?" General Du asked pointedly. "Technology transfer would be part of any alliance," Kim acknowledged, "though that would be a gradual process built on mutual trust." The debate continued for another hour. Kim answered all questions directly, never showing irritation or impatience. Todd watched him carefully, impressed despite himself. The human was an excellent diplomat, skilled at addressing concerns without giving away too much. Finally, Admiral Han called for a recess. "The Council will deliberate in private. Captain Kim, please return to your ship. We'll contact you when a decision is reached." Kim bowed again and left the chamber. The moment the doors closed behind him, the arguments resumed with renewed energy. Toddy found himself assigned to escort Kim back to his ship. As they walked through the station corridors, Tai decided to speak frankly. "You handled the council well, Captain." "Thank you, Commander. I've had some practice with difficult audiences." "I imagine so." Ta hesitated, then continued. "May I ask you something unofficial? Something that's been bothering me?" "Of course. When you defended the station against the Cheery, you could have destroyed those ships easily, couldn't you?" Kim didn't answer immediately. "We prefer non-lethal solutions when available." "That's not an answer." Kim sighed. "Yes, Commander Ta. We could have destroyed them." "Then why didn't you?" "The Cheery are known to be ruthless. They've destroyed civilian stations before." "Because every life matters," Kim said simply. "The crew of those ships were following orders. Maybe bad orders, but still orders. They didn't deserve to die for that." "A noble sentiment," Tai observed. "But practical. Practical enough. The Cheery now know we can neutralize their ships without destroying them. That's a more powerful message than destruction would have been." Ta had to admit the logic. Fear of death can drive enemies to desperate measures. Fear of defeat without death can make them reconsider the wisdom of fighting at all. Kim finished. "Exactly." They'd reached the docking bay where the Dauntless waited. It had been repaired and now showed no signs of the battle. "Another question, if you don't mind," Ta said. "The truth this time." Kim smiled slightly. "I haven't lied to you, Commander." "Not directly, perhaps, but there's more to your mission than you've said." Kim's smile faded. "What makes you think that?" "Because you're too calm," Tad explained. "Your ship is detained. Your crew confined. The Council may vote against alliance with Earth. Yet you seem unconcerned, as if the outcome doesn't really matter." For a long moment, Kim was silent. Then he surprised Ta by chuckling softly. "You're more perceptive than I gave you credit for, Commander." His expression grew serious again. "You're right that establishing formal relations with the Concord is only part of our mission. But the rest isn't sinister. We're explorers. This region of space is new to us. We're mapping it, learning about the species who live here, understanding the political landscape." "Reconnaissance," Ta translated. "Exploration," Kim corrected firmly. "We don't have hostile intentions toward the Concord or any peaceful civilization, and non-peaceful civilizations." Kim's eyes hardened slightly. "We defend ourselves when necessary, as you've seen." Ta nodded slowly. "Thank you for your honesty, Captain. I hope the Council makes the right decision." "What would you advise them, if asked?" Kim inquired. "To proceed carefully but optimistically," Tay replied. "Earth clearly has technology that could benefit the Concord, and having seen how easily you handled the Cheery, I'd rather have humans as allies than potential enemies." Kim smiled. "A wise perspective, Commander. I hope others share it." With that, Kim boarded his ship, leaving Todd with more questions than answers. The council deliberation lasted 18 hours. Todd was called in several times to provide his assessment of the humans. Each time, the argument seemed to have grown more heated. Finally, Admiral Han summoned Tai to his private office. "The council is deadlocked," Han said without preamble. 8 species favor alliance with Earth. 8 oppose it. The Tellurians abstained. "What happens now?" Tai asked. "I have the deciding vote." Han looked tired. "Before I cast it, I want your honest opinion, Commander. Not as a Concord officer, but as the person who's interacted most with Captain Kim. Can we trust the humans?" Tai considered carefully before answering. "I believe Captain Kim has been truthful about their peaceful intentions, but he's hiding things about their capabilities and long-term goals." "That doesn't answer my question," Han pointed out. "Trust is complicated, Admiral. Can we trust them not to attack us? Yes. Can we trust them to share all their technology and knowledge? Probably not. No more than we would share all of ours. Han nodded slowly. A measured response. Now let me ask differently. What do you think would happen if we refuse alliance? They would leave peacefully, Ta said confidently, and then continue their exploration of this region. They'd likely contact other civilizations, perhaps even the Chiri. We would lose the opportunity to be their first allies in this part of space. Han sighed deeply. That's my assessment as well. He stood up. I've made my decision. Prepare a security escort to bring Captain Kim to the council chamber in 1 hour. The council chamber was silent as Admiral Han announced his vote. After careful consideration, I vote in favor of establishing formal diplomatic relations with Earth. The attack by the Chiri demonstrated that new threats can emerge at any time. The Concord would benefit from an ally with Earth's capabilities. The chamber erupted in voices, some approving, others protesting. Han raised his hand for silence. However, I propose conditions. The relationship will begin as a limited partnership, not full alliance. Technology and knowledge exchange will proceed gradually as trust is built on both sides, and Earth must agree to the Concord Non-Aggression Protocol, prohibiting unprovoked military action against any Concord world. The noise subsided somewhat. Han turned to where Captain Kim had been listening quietly. Captain Kim, are these terms acceptable to Earth? Kim stepped forward. I am authorized to accept these terms in principle, Admiral. The details would need to be formalized in a proper treaty, but the framework you've outlined is reasonable. Han nodded. Then it is decided. The Galactic Concord welcomes Earth as a diplomatic partner. 2 days later, the formal agreement was signed. Captain Kim and his officers stood on one side of the ceremonial table, Admiral Han and the council representatives on the other. The document, written on actual paper as a symbolic gesture, was signed by all parties. At the reception afterward, Ta found himself again speaking with Kim. Congratulations, Captain. You've achieved your mission. Part of it, Kim said with a smile. There's still much work to be done. Will you be returning to Earth now? Not immediately. The Dauntless will remain here as Earth's first embassy, while a proper diplomatic team is assembled. Ta nodded, then lowered his voice. There's still one question you haven't answered to my satisfaction. Only one? Kim asked, his eyes twinkling. I must be slipping. Why did Earth send just one ship? The real reason. Kim considered for a moment, then looked around to ensure no one was listening closely. Efficiency, Commander. One ship was all that was needed for first contact. Sending more would have been wasteful. But the risks were calculated, Kim interrupted. The Dauntless was fully capable of defending itself or escaping if necessary. Sending multiple ships would have consumed resources better used elsewhere. That's it. Simple efficiency. Humans learned hard lessons about resource management during our development, Kim explained. We nearly destroyed ourselves competing for limited resources. When we finally unified and reached the stars, we carried that lesson with us. Never use more than necessary. Ta shook his head in disbelief. Most species would have sent a fleet for protection, even if they had peaceful intentions. Most species haven't faced the challenges we have, Kim replied. Necessity shaped our approach. When you've nearly lost everything, you learn not to waste anything. Even so, most military advisors would recommend redundancy, backup ships. Kim smiled. The Dauntless has redundant systems for everything critical, multiple backups. But redundant ships, that would imply the Dauntless couldn't handle the mission alone. And it could. Ta was about to respond when his communicator buzzed urgently. Excuse me, he said, stepping away to answer. Commander, Subin's voice came through, tense and controlled. Long-range sensors have detected multiple ships entering the system. Cheery signatures. Tay's blood ran cold. How many? 15 vessels, Commander. Warships. They're on an intercept course. Alert status read. I'll be right there. Ta turned back to Kim, who was watching him with concern. Problems, Commander. The Cheery have returned, Ta said grimly. 15 warships this time. To his surprise, Kim didn't look alarmed. I see. May I offer assistance? You're one ship against 15. Ta couldn't keep the skepticism from his voice. The odds are better than you might think, Kim said with surprising confidence. Besides, we're allies now, aren't we? Partners, Ta corrected. Limited partners. Close enough. Kim activated his wrist communicator. Lieutenant Yuna, prepare the Dauntless for possible engagement. Alert status 1. Yes, Captain, came the immediate response. Kim looked back at Ta. Shall we go to your command center? I believe we have a situation to discuss. As they hurried through the corridors, Ta found himself wondering yet again about the humans. One ship had handled 3 Cheery vessels with ease, but 15. That seemed impossible, even with their advanced technology. Yet Kim showed no fear, no doubt. Either he was concealing his concern masterfully, or the Dauntless really was capable of facing such odds. The command center was in controlled chaos when they arrived. Admiral Han was already there, issuing orders. All Concord vessels to defensive positions, civilian ships to evacuate immediately to designated safe zones. He turned as Ta and Kim entered. Commander, Captain Kim. Admiral. Kim greeted him. I understand the Cheery have returned in force. 15 warships, Han confirmed grimly, including 2 dreadnoughts. The Dauntless stands ready to assist in defense, Kim offered. Han looked skeptical. Your ship performed impressively against 3 vessels, Captain, but 15 is a different matter entirely. Numbers aren't everything, Admiral, Kim replied calmly. But I understand your concern. Perhaps we should contact the Cheery first. Try diplomacy before weapons. Han nodded slowly. A reasonable suggestion. Open a channel to the lead Cheery vessel. Moments later, the main screen showed the Cheery commander, tall, gray-skinned, with 4 yellow eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. This is Admiral Han of the Galactic Concord. You are entering protected space without authorization. State your purpose. The Cheery commander's upper eyes narrowed. I am Supreme Battle Leader Krav of the Cheery Empire. Your protection of this sector is not recognized by the Empire. We have come to address the human threat. There is no human threat, Han replied firmly. Earth has established peaceful relations with the Concord. So they have deceived you as well, Krav said. Our intelligence reports indicate the humans possess weapons of planetary destruction. Their presence in this region cannot be tolerated. Kim stepped forward. Supreme Battle Leader Krav, I am Captain Kim of Earth. Your information is incorrect. We have no hostile intentions toward the Cheery Empire. Krav's lower eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of anger in Cheery. The disabled vessels you returned told a different story, human. Your weapons technology is deemed a threat to Cheery security. You will surrender your vessel and all technical data immediately or face destruction. That won't be happening, Kim said, his voice hardening. I suggest you reconsider your approach, Battle Leader. Conflict benefits neither of us. You have 1 hour to surrender, Krav stated. After that, we will take your ship by force. The screen went dark. Han turned to Ta. Prepare the fleet for engagement. We cannot match 15 Cheery warships, but we'll do what damage we can. One moment, Admiral, Kim interrupted. If I may make a suggestion. Han looked at him expectantly. Let the Dauntless handle this. The room fell silent. Han stared at Kim in disbelief. 1 ship against 15, including 2 dreadnoughts. That's suicide, Captain. Kim's expression remained confident. The Dauntless has capabilities you haven't seen yet, and I would prefer to resolve this without putting Concord lives at risk. What capabilities? Tai asked. It would be easier to demonstrate than explain, Kim replied. Admiral, I know this is asking for considerable trust, but consider what you've seen my ship do already." Han exchanged looks with Tai and General Du. Finally, he spoke. "Very well, Captain. The Dauntless will take the lead position, but the Concord fleet will be ready to engage if necessary." "Thank you, Admiral. I should return to my ship now." "I'll come with you," Ta said quickly. Something in Kim's confidence made him intensely curious. Han nodded. "Go. And Captain Kim, good luck." "Luck is rarely a factor, Admiral," Kim replied with a slight smile. "But thank you." As they hurried toward the docking bay, Ta couldn't contain his questions any longer. "What are you planning, Captain? Even with your advanced weapons, 15 ships." "Commander," Kim interrupted gently, "do you remember asking why Earth sent just one ship?" "Yes." "You're about to get the full answer." The Dauntless undocked smoothly from the station. Ta stood beside Captain Kim on the bridge, watching as the small crew worked with quiet efficiency. There was no panic, no frantic activity, just calm, practiced movements. "You seem very confident," Ta observed. Kim nodded. "We've handled similar situations before." 15 warships. Ta couldn't keep the disbelief from his voice. "The numbers aren't important," Kim replied. "The approach is what matters." Lieutenant Yuna approached them. "Captain, all systems are ready. The Cheery fleet is maintaining position at the edge of weapons range." "Thank you, Lieutenant. Begin activation sequence for Protocol 7. Yuna's expression changed slightly, a flash of surprise quickly controlled. "Yes, Captain. Right away." As she returned to her station, Tao glanced around the bridge. It was smaller than he had expected, with only 8 crew members present. The control panels were elegant and simple, with few of the flashing lights and indicators that crowded Concord ship bridges. "I thought you'd have more crew," Ta commented. "The Dauntless is largely automated," Kim explained. "Most systems can function without human intervention, like the weapons systems we saw during the first Cheery attack." "Exactly, though those were relatively simple defensive measures." Tai raised an eyebrow. "Simple? They disabled 3 warships instantly." Kim smiled slightly. "Everything is relative, Commander." Before Tai could respond, one of the bridge officers called out, "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Cheery fleet." "On screen," Kim ordered. Supreme Battle Leader Krav appeared on the main view screen, his 4 yellow eyes glowing with confidence. "Human vessel," he said, not bothering with formal greetings. "Your time is nearly expired. Surrender now or be destroyed." "Battle Leader Krav," Kim replied calmly, "there's been a misunderstanding. Earth has no hostile intentions toward the Cheery Empire. We seek peaceful relations with all spacefaring civilizations. Your weapons technology presents an unacceptable threat," Krav stated flatly. "The Empire cannot allow such power to remain unchecked." "And yet you bring 15 warships to threaten one vessel," Kim pointed out. "Who is the true aggressor here?" Krav's upper eyes narrowed. "Final warning, human. Surrender or die." "I have a counterproposal," Kim said. "Withdraw your fleet, and we'll arrange a proper diplomatic meeting to address your concerns." "Unacceptable," Krav hissed. "You have 5 minutes before we open fire." The screen went dark. Kim turned to Lieutenant Yuna. "Status of Protocol 7. 80% charge, Captain. 3 more minutes to full power." "That should be adequate," Kim nodded. He turned to Ta. "Commander, you might want to contact your fleet. Tell them not to engage the Cheery no matter what happens. For their own safety." Tai studied Kim's face. "What are you planning, Captain?" "Something that should resolve this situation without bloodshed," Kim replied. "But I need your fleet to maintain their position." Tai hesitated, then nodded. He stepped away to contact Admiral Han, explaining Kim's request. "He wants us to hold position," Han asked incredulously, "against 15 Cheery warships." "Yes, Admiral." He seems very confident in his ship's capabilities. Han was silent for a moment. Very well. But if the Dauntless is destroyed, we engage immediately. Understood, Admiral. Tide returned to Kim's side. The Admiral has agreed. Our fleet will hold position unless your ship is lost. It won't come to that, Kim assured him. 1 minute to Cheery deadline, announced an officer. Kim took his command chair at the center of the bridge. Put me through to the Cheery again. Battle Leader Krav appeared on screen, his expression impatient. Your time is up, human. Before you open fire, Kim said calmly, I want to make one thing clear. Earth does not want conflict with the Cheery Empire. What happens next is entirely your choice. Empty words. Krav sneered. Prepare tow. Protocol 7 charged and ready. Captain, Yuna interrupted. Thank you, Lieutenant. Kim looked directly at Krav. Last chance to withdraw, Battle Leader. Fire, Krav ordered, and the screen went dark. On the tactical display, Tai watched as the 15 Cheery warships launched their attack. Hundreds of energy weapons discharged simultaneously, all aimed at the Dauntless. Brace for impact, Kim said calmly. Tai expected the small ship to activate shields or attempt evasive maneuvers. It did neither. Instead, the bridge lights dimmed momentarily, and a low hum filled the air. Protocol 7 active, Yuna reported. Outside the ship, something extraordinary happened. The incoming Cheery weapons fire seemed to slow, then stop entirely, suspended in space halfway between the Cheery fleet and the Dauntless. The energy beams and projectiles hung motionless, as if frozen in time. What is this? Ta whispered. Temporal displacement field, Kim explained. It creates a bubble of altered time flow around us. Inside the bubble, time proceeds normally. Outside, it slows dramatically. You can manipulate time. Ta couldn't believe what he was seeing. Not exactly, Kim said. We manipulate the flow of time in a localized area. It's a defensive measure, primarily. Protocol 7, Phase 2, Yuna announced. The frozen Cheery weapons fire began to dissipate, breaking apart into harmless particles that scattered in all directions. The field breaks down the energy coherence of weapons. Kim continued his explanation, rendering them harmless without damaging the ships that fired them. Incredible, Ta muttered. Incoming transmission from the Cheery fleet, an officer reported. On screen, Kim ordered. Battle Leader Krav appeared, his face contorted with rage and confusion. What trickery is this? What have you done to our weapons? No trickery, Battle Leader, Kim replied. Just technology you haven't encountered before. As you can see, your attack was ineffective. I suggest we try diplomacy instead. Impossible, Krav hissed. No shield could stop a combined barrage from 15 ships. We didn't use shields, Kim pointed out. Please note that we haven't returned fire. We have no desire to harm your vessels or crews. Stand down, and let's discuss your concerns properly. For a long moment, Krav was silent, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly as he processed this unexpected development. Finally, he spoke, his voice tight with suppressed fury. This changes nothing, human. You've only proven that your technology is even more dangerous than we believed. Captain, Yuna interrupted. We're detecting power surges in the Cheery dreadnoughts. They appear to be charging their main cannons. Kim sighed. It seems the battle leader needs a more convincing demonstration. Lieutenant, prepare Protocol 9. This time, both Yuna and several other bridge officers looked alarmed. Captain, Protocol 9 hasn't been fully tested in field conditions, Yuna cautioned. We don't have many options, Lieutenant. The dreadnought cannons could damage the station even at this range. Yuna nodded reluctantly. Yes, Captain. Initiating Protocol 9. Ta looked between them. What is Protocol 9? A more aggressive application of our technology, Kim said simply. Watch. The tactical display showed the two cheery dreadnoughts moving to the front of their formation, the massive ships dwarfing their escorts. Energy readings from their main weapons spiked dangerously. Protocol 9 ready, Captain, Una reported. Target. The lead dreadnought's weapon systems only, Kim ordered. Minimal duration. Acknowledged. Executing now. The bridge lights dimmed again, more noticeably this time. The hum deepened to a thrumming pulse that Ty could feel in his chest. On the view screen, the lead cheery dreadnought was suddenly surrounded by a faint blue glow. What's happening? Ty asked. We've created a temporal inversion field around their weapon systems, Kim explained. Inside that field, time is flowing backward. Backward? Ta couldn't hide his shock. That's not supposed to be possible. Kim smiled slightly. We had the same reaction when we first discovered the principle. On the tactical display, the energy readings from the dreadnought's weapons dropped rapidly, returning to standby levels. The blue glow faded. Field collapsed, Captain, Una reported. Effect successful. Their weapons have reset to pre-charging state. Excellent. Target the second dreadnought. Same parameters. The process repeated with the second massive ship, with identical results. Both dreadnoughts' main weapons had been effectively reset without damaging the vessels themselves. Incoming transmission, Captain. All channels, maximum power. On screen, Kim ordered. Battle Leader Krav appeared, his composure completely shattered. What have you done to our ships? He demanded, voice shaking. We temporarily reversed the energy buildup in your main cannons, Kim explained calmly. No permanent damage has been done to your vessels. Your weapons can be charged again, though I strongly advise against it. This is impossible, Krav stammered. And yet you've seen it with your own eyes, Kim pointed out. Battle Leader, Earth doesn't want war with the cheery Empire, but we will defend ourselves and our allies if forced to. I'm asking you again, withdraw your fleet and let us resolve this diplomatically. Krav's four eyes blinked rapidly in sequence, a sign of extreme stress in Cheery. You could have destroyed our ships, he said finally. Why didn't you? Because taking lives unnecessarily goes against our principles, Kim replied. War is wasteful. Destruction is wasteful. We prefer efficiency in all things, including diplomacy. There was a long silence as Krav appeared to consult with someone off-screen. Finally, he returned his attention to Kim. We will withdraw to the system boundary, he said stiffly. The Empire will consider your offer of diplomatic talks. A wise decision, Battle Leader, Kim acknowledged. We'll await your diplomatic representatives. The screen went dark. On the tactical display, the 15 Cheery ships began to move away, retreating from their attack position. The bridge crew remained tense until the Cheery fleet was well outside weapons range. Only then did Kim relax slightly in his chair. Stand down from alert status, he ordered. Lieutenant Una, begin power down sequence for Protocol 9. Run full diagnostics on all affected systems. Yes, Captain. Kim turned to Ta, who had been watching the entire exchange in stunned silence. Are you all right, Commander? You can manipulate time, Ta said slowly, trying to process what he had witnessed. You can make weapons fire freeze in space. You can make ship systems run backwards. And you consider this. What did you call it? Protocol 7. Protocol 9. You consider these standard defensive measures. Kim's expression became serious. These technologies were developed out of necessity, Commander. Earth's history has been challenging. We faced extinction-level threats several times before we unified. These defensive systems were created to ensure our survival, but to control time itself. We don't control it, exactly, Kim corrected. We influence its flow in very specific, limited ways, and the power requirements are enormous. The Dauntless Asterisk won't be able to use those systems again for at least 24 hours while the power cores recharge. Todd looked around the bridge, seeing the small crew in a new light. Is this why Earth sent just one ship? Because one ship with this technology is equal to an entire fleet. Partly, Kim acknowledged. But it's more fundamental than that. Earth learned harsh lessons about resource management during our development. We nearly destroyed ourselves competing for limited resources. When we finally reached space, we carried that lesson with us. Never use more than necessary. One ship was all you needed, Ta said, understanding finally dawning. Even against 15 warships. Exactly. Kim stood from his chair. The Dauntless was designed specifically for first contact missions. It has defensive capabilities to handle nearly any threat, diplomatic systems to facilitate communication, and scientific equipment to gather data about new regions of space. But this technology, the Concorde, has nothing remotely similar. Which is why we didn't demonstrate it until absolutely necessary, Kim said. Such technology, shared before trust is established, often creates fear rather than cooperation. Tug couldn't argue with that logic. Will you share it with the Concorde now? As part of our partnership. Some aspects, yes, as trust develops between us, Kim replied. But not all at once. Even on Earth, these technologies are carefully controlled. Their potential for misuse is considerable. A communication officer interrupted them. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Han. He's requesting your presence on the station immediately. Tell him we're on our way, Kim replied. He turned back to Ta. I imagine the Admiral has questions. More than a few, Ta agreed dryly. The Concorde Council chamber was in an uproar. Representatives shouted over each other, demanding explanations. Admiral Han managed to restore order just as Tai entered with Captain Kim. Captain Kim, Han said, his voice carefully controlled. Perhaps you could explain what our sensors just recorded. Our science teams are struggling to understand the readings. Kim stepped forward. Admiral, members of the Council, what you witnessed was a demonstration of Earth's defensive technology. We call it temporal displacement. You control time. A Vex representative asked, all four eyes wide with shock. We influence its flow within limited parameters, Kim corrected. It's a technology we developed for defensive purposes only. Such power, the Dronar representative whispered. You could conquer entire systems with a single ship. Kim's expression hardened. We could, but we won't. Earth has no interest in conquest. We've seen where that path leads. Our history taught us that lesson all too clearly. Admiral Han stepped forward. The partnership agreement we signed yesterday. Did you know this confrontation with the Cheery was coming? We suspected it might, Kim admitted. The Cheery reaction to our first encounter suggested they might return in force. And you didn't warn us. Han's voice rose slightly. Would you have believed me if I told you a single ship could defeat 15 Cheery warships? Kim asked quietly. Han had no answer for that. Science Director Minna approached, her eyes bright with curiosity. This technology, does it have other applications beyond defense? Many, Kim acknowledged. Medical, scientific, engineering. We use temporal manipulation to treat certain diseases, to study quantum phenomena, to solve complex construction problems. You mentioned power requirements, Ta said. How does a ship this size generate enough energy for such effects? Kim smiled slightly. That's another technology we developed out of necessity. Our power cores use principles that are different from standard Concorde designs. General Du pushed forward through the crowd. And weapons? You could create weapons with this technology, yes. We could, Kim nodded. We have. But we choose not to use them except as an absolute last resort. The chamber fell silent, as everyone considered the implications. Earth possessed technology that made a single ship more powerful than entire fleets. Technology that could, in theory, make them unstoppable. Admiral Han finally broke the silence. Captain Kim, I must ask directly, what does Earth want from the Concorde? With such power at your disposal, you hardly need allies. Kim's answer was immediate and firm. Everyone needs allies, Admiral. No civilization thrives in isolation. Earth wants what we've stated from the beginning: peaceful relations, cultural exchange, mutual security, and trade. We have no desire for conquest or dominance. Why should we believe that? Someone called from the back of the chamber. Because if conquest was our goal, we wouldn't be having this conversation, Kim replied simply. We would have demonstrated our power differently. Instead, we disabled weapons without destroying ships. We defended without attacking. Our actions speak for themselves. Ta stepped forward. I've observed Captain Kim and his crew since their arrival. I've seen them face threats with restraint and reason. Everything they've done supports their claim of peaceful intentions. Admiral Han considered this, then nodded slowly. The Concord has existed for 3 centuries because we recognized that cooperation benefits all. If Earth truly shares this philosophy, then perhaps there is a basis for trust. We do share it, Kim assured him. Different paths have led our civilizations to the same conclusion. Working together is better than fighting against each other. Han extended his hand in the human gesture of agreement. Then let us continue our partnership, Captain, with new understanding between us. Kim took his hand firmly. Thank you, Admiral. Earth looks forward to a long and productive relationship with the Concord. Later, as they walked through the station's observation deck, Tai and Kim paused to look out at the stars. The Dauntless asterisk was visible in the distance, small against the backdrop of space. Just one ship, Ta mused. The question that bothered me from the beginning now seems almost foolish. Kim smiled. Not foolish at all. It was the right question. You sensed something unusual about our approach. Will more human ships come now? Tai asked. Eventually, yes, as our partnership develops, but never more than necessary. The human way, Tai observed. Efficiency in all things. It served us well so far, Kim replied. Though we still have much to learn from others. The Concord's approach to cooperative governance, for instance, is remarkable. They stood in companionable silence for a moment, watching the stars. A question, Captain, if I may. Ta finally said. An unofficial one. Of course. Earth really sent just one ship because one was sufficient. That's the entire reason. Kim laughed softly. Commander Ta, sometimes the simplest answer is the correct one. Why use 2 when 1 will do? It's not complex philosophy, just common sense. Common sense that let 1 ship stand against 15, Ta pointed out. Technology helped, Kim acknowledged. But the principle remains the same. Use what you need, no more, no less. As they turned to leave, Tai thought about how this simple human philosophy had reshaped his understanding of power. True strength, perhaps, wasn't in overwhelming force, but in precise application. Not in how much you could bring to bear, but in how effectively you use what you had. Just one ship. The answer had been simple all along, yet profound in its implications. Todd wondered what other lessons the humans might teach the Concord in the years to come.